don't know. Tim Walz is out there talking again.
You say he could fight any Trump supporter?
Yeah, he says he kicked their and they're scared of him because he could fix a truck. They're threatened by his masculinity. I know how to fix a truck. That's what he said. I'm like, do you? I bet you don't.
The lady doth protest too much.
I bet you don't.
I fear.
I bet if I bring a broken truck to you and a bag of tools, you're...
Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson take down Tim Walz. On live TV, those 12 words flashed across smartphones like a flare over a dark lake, and millions tapped in, ready for a demolition disguised as conversation. Rogan began by replaying Governor Tim Walz's viral boast that he could fight any Trump supporter and fix any truck on demand. He leaned toward the camera, eyebrows rising, and asked why a sitting governor needs sparring credentials and socket-wrench swagger to prove competence. The studio chuckled, yet the laughter felt brittle, as if everyone sensed the punchline aimed deeper than pride. Rogan's first swing punctured the macho veneer. He told listeners that several of Walz's former National Guard colleagues once approached the FBI, worried the commander might have leaked armored vehicle specs during an overseas briefing. No one produced a stamped confession, but 2 years later, China unveiled a tank that looked like Minnesota's own cousin in camo. Coincidence? Maybe, though baristas in Duluth still whisper about it over lattes. Carlson, voice calm and sharp, suggested politicians often flex hardest when their policy muscles feel flabby. Would Walz actually swap an alternator roadside or appoint a commission on lugnut equity first? The audience laughed again, but the trust question lingered like engine smoke. Pandemic policy magnified that wobble into a quake. Rogan projected a timeline of executive orders that resembled a snarl of fishing line. Small gyms shuttered, corner cafes dimmed, megastores thrived beneath buzzing fluorescents, and liquor aisles stayed stocked as if Merlot passed for medicine. Rogan joked that Walz must believe tequila kills germs faster than push-ups in sunlight. Carlson added that neighboring states with lighter restrictions posted infection curves nearly identical to Minnesota's, though their diners and barbershops lived to tell the tale. Family businesses 3 generations deep vanished overnight. Classroom desks collected dust while social distance checkout lanes spilled into parking lots. Nobody can quarantine common sense forever, Rogan muttered, and a nervous hush replaced studio giggles. The surreal lockdown era bled into a very real blaze. Carlson rolled footage of Minneapolis streets at midnight, patrol cars abandoned on smoking asphalt, storefront glass glittering like broken ice, and an orange sky glowing where Skyline once stood. He laid out timestamps like a prosecutor. Police requested guard support at 7, troops staged by 9, the executive order materialized close to 2 in the morning, and by dawn, entire blocks resembled charcoal briquettes. Rogan compared the delay to a ship captain polling passengers while the iceberg shredded hull plating. They replayed Walz calling the destruction largely unacceptable, and Carlson winced, labeling the phrase the political version of a shrug. Store owners who had watched livelihoods burn wanted decisiveness, not adjectives. Schools did not escape the bonfire. State reading scores slid 12 points, math 15, and attendance looked like Swiss cheese. Rogan joked that Minnesota students now major in buffering studies and mute button theory.
You were saying that men he worked with in the National Guard in Nebraska went to the FBI because they believed he had given classified military secrets to the Chinese government?
They suspect that he did.
Suspected to the point that they went to the FBI.
And then China started producing almost a carbon copy of this military tank a couple of years later.
Come on. For real?
According to all of our research.
He called Walz's negotiations with teachers' unions a hostage exchange. Every concession bought another podium statement, while parents juggled glitching Chromebooks at kitchen tables. Carlson warned that each lost academic year can slice future wages by 10%. Sacrifice feels painless when somebody else pays the bill, Rogan added, comparing the governor's approach to ordering steaks on a stranger's tab. Public safety bills arrived next, and they weren't coupons. Carjackings climbed by a third, retail theft doubled, officers filed retirement papers in droves, and 911 hold times stretched longer than a streaming ad nobody can skip. Rogan painted rideshare drivers offering hazard bonuses, pizza shops installing bank-grade glass, and homeowners locking doors before lunch. Carlson argued that social media-friendly doctrines had turned squad cars into rolling question marks, with officers afraid policy memos might chase them harder than suspects. Hashtags don't chase burglars, Rogan snapped, the line echoing like a gavel. Economic data followed, indifferent to spin. Nearly 20,000 taxpayers, mostly middle-income families, packed moving vans and left Minnesota in a single year. Carlson labeled it a self-inflicted brain drain. Permit lines, he said, were tall enough to snowboard down, and a logistics firm's viral farewell letter earned more likes than the governor's last 7 policy threads combined. Rogan imagined Walz at a ribbon-cutting ceremony only to watch the owner drive the ribbon straight to South Dakota before the flashbulbs cooled. An economy cannot survive on pastel optimism, he warned, especially when that optimism costs 10 cents more on the dollar every budget cycle. Pastel optimism appeared anyway. Walz launched a contest to replace Minnesota's century-old flag, calling the old emblem problematic. After 2,500 submissions and 4 months of webcam debates, the winning design, a teal loon circling a pale star, arrived with polite applause and wide confusion. Rogan lifted the printout and deadpanned, "Great, potholes finally feel represented." Carlson remarked that swapping symbols is cheap camouflage for service gaps. "Paint can't patch asphalt," he warned, and heads nodded across the comment section. With statistics stacked high, personality took center stage. Carlson branded Walz the prototype for leaders who manage feelings instead of facts, selling hesitation as kindness and indecision as humility.
There's video of Tim Walz doing the exact same thing.
Right.
Exact same thing, and
Yes.
he said, of course, it's a Nazi salute. He said that.
Right.
We spent 3 days debating, having them trying to debate that President Musk gave a Nazi salute. Of course he did. But that is a distraction.
This is how crazy things have gotten. Like,
It's coordinated propaganda.
Rogan compared the governor's briefings to salads tossed with apologies, disclaimers, and a sprinkle of smugness. Colorful, yet protein-free. Editors rolled a montage. Walz repeating, "We are navigating unprecedented times," while red graphs lurked behind. "Storms test sailors," Carlson noted, "and storms don't pause for focus groups." The commentators then tackled crime policy details Walz rarely mentions aloud. Carlson cited internal memos suggesting prosecutors downgraded violent charges to keep data palatable, turning felonies into footnotes. Rogan added that Minneapolis shopkeepers share walkie-talkies more than holiday cards, coordinating cardboard reinforcement like wartime supply runs. They played a clip of Walz praising community-based safety solutions, and Rogan raised an eyebrow high enough to lift his headset. "Solutions without enforcement," he said, "are just slogans with Wi-Fi." Next came taxes and transit. Carlson detailed how Minnesota's gas tax bump coincided with pothole counts rising like popcorn, while a billion-dollar light rail expansion crawled miles over budget. Rogan joked the trains moved so slowly you could jog alongside and still beat rush hour. Viewers saw a viral photo of a snow-packed platform where commuters shivered beneath a banner proclaiming "Progress in Motion." Carlson let the image breathe before asking why progress always demands more of citizens than of planners. Culture clashes provided fresh tinder.
So, who is Tim Walz exactly? Most of us, I just want to say, I think he's should be investigated by the sex crimes unit. I really feel that way. I'm not asking you to comment on that, but he's one of the creepiest people I've ever seen. The vibe I get off that guy, I would not let him in my house. That's just my feeling. Maybe I'm being totally unfair.
Rogan recounted the state's pilot program encouraging elementary classrooms to adopt identity reflection corners, stocked with mirror stations and affirmation scripts. Carlson predicted those mirrors would be padlocked once kids used them to practice stink eye at plummeting test scores. The studio laughed, but parents at home likely winced. Environmental pledges took their turn. Walz touted electric buses ready for sub-zero winters, yet half the fleet sat idle last January after batteries froze like popsicles. Rogan imagined the governor wearing mittens beside an extension cord, insisting the buses merely needed a quick, warm hug. Carlson shook his head, noting reliable diesel units had been auctioned off for pennies. Feel-good optics, he concluded, sometimes leave people literally out in the cold. As the rundown neared its crescendo, Rogan replayed Walz's televised claim that he would do it all again regarding pandemic mandates. The statement echoed over silent shots of shuttered storefronts, foreclosure notices, and a Little League field overgrown with weeds. Rogan called it the "don't blame me" doctrine in surround sound. Carlson replied that true leadership means learning, adjusting, and sometimes admitting error, not doubling down like a blackjack player wagering borrowed chips. The pair zoomed out for a final assessment. Rogan framed Walz as a man caught between persona and performance, fluent in social signaling yet tone-deaf to real-world stakes. Carlson likened him to a friendly camp counselor suddenly placed on a battleship, encouraging, upbeat, and overwhelmed by radar blips. They stressed that Minnesota is not doomed. It simply needs leaders who treat duty like craft, not theater. Grown-up problems demand grown-up choices delivered on time, not emotive slogans printed on banners or teal and cream flags. Rogan closed with a grin bordering on pity. Leadership, he said, is not a flawless chess game. It is a messy sprint through smoke where pauses cost lives, livelihoods, and sometimes entire city blocks. Fires burn faster than committee calendars, children age whether classrooms open or not, and spreadsheets ignore trending hashtags. Carlson urged citizens to measure public servants by outcomes, not optics. Rogan's final line arrived half laugh, half warning. If you brag about your fists and your flag designs, show receipts, not slogans. The lights dimmed, the feed cut, and the comment flood began. Viewers logged off with a challenge ringing in their ears. Watch the numbers, tally the outcomes, and demand leaders who treat duty like craft, not theater. The lights faded, but a simple question lingered. When the next crisis erupts, who will really pick up the wrench?